Welcome to my recipe video series where we're making extreme, cheap food for busy people like me. Okay, this recipe video is 4 recipes under $2 a meal, and they're made in your Crockpot. Yay, Crockpot.
This first recipe is slow cooker curry. Peel and chop potatoes and add them to a crockpot along with carrots. I mixed a blend of spices, but feel free to use store-bought curry powder. Pour half a can of coconut milk into the crockpot. We're gonna pour our spices into the can and mix it with the coconut milk. Pour that into the crockpot. Then top everything off with a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. I added a cinnamon stick to the middle, but that's optional. I've made a million curries in my day, and this was absolutely the best, hands down. All these dishes cook in 6 hours on low, but I'm away at work for at least 9 hours. So 9 hours later, I removed the cinnamon stick, then added in a frozen bag of peas. This was so good, I kept stealing bites of carrots and saying, "Outstanding! That's just outstanding!" You can make this cheaper by leaving out the peas and adding another pound of potatoes. This recipe is 2-ingredient meatballs. Seitan dough comes together in 2 seconds. Just mix flour and water and spices if you want. If your dough is too wet, add a little extra gluten flour. If your dough is too dry, then add a little bit more water. It is super easy and it's the cheapest thing on the planet, and it's a very forgiving recipe. Add a bunch of pasta sauce to the bottom of the crock pot. Do not go skimpy with the sauce. Just break off pieces of dough, roll them between the palms of your hand, and cover them in sauce. Again, this is a 6-hour recipe on low, but I was away at work for 9 hours, so the edges got a little burned. That didn't affect the overall flavor of the dish, and I freaking loved it, so I couldn't say enough good things about it. Once your meatballs are done cooking, mix your meatballs with a pound of cooked pasta and then divide it up. Crock-pot protein lasagna. First, I chopped up field roast franks and pulsed them in my food processor to make protein crumbles. I divided the protein out because I had no faith in my ability to evenly distribute it throughout the dish. Start with a bunch of pasta sauce. Again, no skimping on the sauce or your noodles will come out dry. Then just layer everything together. If I was baking this dish, I would have added veggies like summer squash, but that wouldn't last all day in my crock pot, so I kept this strictly protein since I'd be cooking this for so long. No skimping on the sauce. I used almost 4 jars of sauce for this recipe. I maxed out my crock pot, which is always a win. I don't want to say that I'm promoting a fire hazard, but I did burn the edges. Again, I was away for work for 9 hours. People stick with 6 hours on low. Do not be like me and cook for 9 hours. Despite burning the hell out of a couple of edges, my husband ate more of this meal prep while I ate more of the meatball meal prep that same week. Dude, I've never heard my husband compliment a meal prep so many times in the same week. I'm pretty sure he doesn't compliment any of my meal preps, but this burnt one got like several compliments, so that's that. Want to see a sweet ass piece of burnt lasagna? There it is, nice. Safety first. Our final crockpot recipe is veggies and dumplings. You can toss carrots in whole, but I like to finely dice mine for simple potato and carrot stews. Instead of using bouillon, I add a ton of salt to water and mix in some spices. I like to add peeled and chopped potatoes first. I really need a larger crock pot. 4 quarts isn't enough to make a giant meal prep. Basically, I left out a pound of veggies because I maxed out my slow cooker. Pour in your DIY liquid and cook on low for 6 hours, or go to work and come back 9 hours later like I did. I like my veggie soups to be creamy, so I always blend a portion of the veggies with the broth, then pour it back into the stew. Throw in some frozen peas and salt to taste. I live on veggie stews because they're about $1 a serving, but you can jazz it up and add a can of biscuits to make it a biscuit and veggie stew. The first hour my biscuits were on top and pretty much didn't cook at all, maybe because there was no space. Then I mixed the biscuits into the middle of the stew and then cooked it another hour, and everything was amazing. As soon as I took the lid off, there was so much butter smell coming from the biscuits. This was such a rich comfort food. Thanks for watching! All the recipes are linked below, and check out the other 4 videos in the series. Bye!